For the longest time in our sport, top-level pros didn't really throw forehands very much. Most top-level pros, not that long ago, were throwing mostly backhands. Nowadays, almost every top-level pro has a very good forehand, but for a long time this wasn't the case, and I think this has led to forehands not being taught quite as much. When I give lessons, most people that come to me really only care about improving their backhand form. Unless they're a forehand dominant player, when I've tried to work on forehands with many of my clients, they struggle heavily with it because they just don't care about it as much. I think the forehand is a very, very useful throw, and it's not that hard to throw a pretty serviceable forehand, especially like inside 300 feet, because that could be really all you need to unlock huge potential within your game. There obviously is a decent amount of forehand instructional videos, and I've even done some videos on forehands, but I think they're usually very in-depth and don't go over just the basic things that people get wrong with forehands. And in lessons that I've given, things that I've seen, there are two things that I think a lot of people struggle with the forehand, and for whatever reason just can't seem to get right. So I want to demystify both of those things and make it easy for a lot of you out there. So if you're someone who's watched someone, let's say Eagle McMahon, throw what looks like a super low power forehand but launch it with no wobble and go way further than you ever could throw.
Eagle, 1%.
Yeah, it might be a little bit less than that.
Oh, he zoomed it.
Yeah, that was kind of like a 4%er.
Oh, yes. Now you know why.
And then you go out there in a field and you try to give it all you got and it goes nowhere and has terrible angle control and is wobbling all over the place. Hopefully I can help you. So like I said, there's two things. The first one is pretty simple. It's just that people don't grip the disc tight enough. Have you ever watched a video of someone throwing a forehand and they're walking up to the tee and this is what you see in their hand? Right, the disc is just wobbling all over the place and they're doing that. Like, you need to hold the disc in your hand and get a good grip on it. I am pushing into the groove of the disc between the flight plate and the rim, and then I'm pushing my other finger into that finger, my pointer finger into my middle finger, and like, I have a pretty tight grip on it, and my thumb is also on it pretty good, and then these two fingers are on there. That's like the basic forehand, I guess, power grip. You can have the one finger grip, you could have the stacked grip, like this, the, spread out finger grip, whatever you do, but it doesn't matter which one you do, you have to have it firmly planted into your hand. If I see you walking up to the tee and the disc is like wobbling around like this, that is not okay, and that is not gonna be a very reliable forehand. I wanna see you walking up with the disc firmly planted into your hand. That's gonna get you the most pop, that's gonna get you the most revs when you throw it, the most RPM, the most spin, and it's gonna get you way more consistency. Obviously, you'll have to play around a little bit with what works for you, but I think if you spend some more time and if you're someone that really holds the disc super loose with the forehand, this should be able to help you out quite a bit. So real quickly to demonstrate the difference between these two and how important it is, I'm gonna throw some mid-ranges. I'll throw one with the loose grip and one with the tighter grip. So I'm gonna do that like loose grip. I'm gonna try and do most of the other things right, but I'm gonna do that loose grip I see a lot of people do where the disc is kind of just sitting in their hand with their hand just kind of hanging out around the disc, but not really holding onto it. Right? Just, I don't feel like I have a very good hold of it, and maybe you could make the disc fly out of your hand a little bit consistently doing that way, but if I just hold it in nice and tight and just do the same amount of power on my forehand, it's just way more spin, so much more reliable. I feel like I have way more control over the disc. Now that one's easy. Second part is a little bit more involved. Not that much, but a little bit more. So another thing I see a lot of people have a lot of trouble with their forehand is they're trying to just throw the disc. The disc is leading the throw and they're just throwing their arm forward and everything is in front of them. Just like the backhand, when we throw a forehand, we want to create lag. When we create lag, we create room to accelerate the disc forward, and then we create snap at the end of the throw. We know with the backhand throw, we want to create space, create lag, accelerate the disc forward, get it into a whip, and pop it forward. It's the exact same thing with a forehand. We want to create lag, create space to accelerate the disc, and we want to get snap at the end. The mechanics are a little bit different, but it's no different in the sense that we want to create lag within the throw. And that is the most common thing I see people messing up with the forehand throw is they're not trying to create lag. They're more just trying to arm the disc. The best way I could put it is you are trying to lead the throw with your hand or lead the throw with the disc. You really shouldn't be doing that. You should be leading the throw with the rest of your body. There are different ways to think about it, but you actually want the disc to be lagging behind everything, and then as you generate power into the throw, into your plant leg, into your core, into the rest of your arm, the disc in your hand is gonna snap forward when you get to that hit point in the same way you would in a backhand power pocket. Through creating this lag, we create a nice lever between our elbow and the disc, and we get snap coming forward, and the wrist also can propel forward effortlessly. If we're like locking our arm into place and trying to throw the disc and keep it in front of us, we're not gonna be generating snap, and we're gonna be trying to get the disc to snap forward without generating any snap. So that's why you're gonna get wobble, that's why you're gonna get poor angle control, that's why you're not gonna generate a lot of power. Why people like Eagle McMahon can generate so much snap so effortlessly is, one, he has long limbs and probably pretty big hands, but two, he knows how to generate snap really well. He has really good flexibility in his elbow and just generally in his arm and in his wrist, and he can generate a lot of snap by lagging the disc backwards and snapping it forward properly. I've talked about this in a video way back, maybe a couple of years ago. When you load the forehand, you can think of leading with your elbow a little bit. It's a bit dangerous to think about it that way, as I've learned, because some people will try and jam their elbow forward, which is not what you want to do. More so, you want to think of the disc lagging behind. The elbow is going to be the first thing to come forward, but it's more the disc lagging back and then snapping forward. You'll see this when you watch any forehand thrower in slow motion. So why don't we go ahead and do a little comparison of arming the throw and leading with the hand and the disc, and then another one with creating lag. So here I'm going to try and lead with the disc, throw with my arm in front of everything, and not really create any lag.
I did a pretty bad job here of showcasing the wrong form. You can see the disc is still lagging behind pretty decently, even though I felt like I was using my arm too much. And an actual example of this being very wrong, you would see the disc pretty much in line with the shoulder and not dropping back at all. So just keep that in mind. This isn't a very good example of the wrong form.
You can see how that didn't really get a lot of speed out of my hand. It kind of hurt my shoulder a little bit. I don't like throwing like that. Now what I'm gonna do is let the disc lag back a little bit, pop forward, and just get a follow through from the disc accelerating forward and snapping forward. Pretty strong tailwind, so it kind of faded out really fast, but you can see how much more effortless that was, how much cleaner of a release, and I felt virtually no problems with my shoulder or my elbow or anything. Everything snapped forward very seamlessly. This can carry over into just like little standstill shots with an approach disc, right? If I'm trying to throw it with my arm, I'm gonna get like this wobbly, inconsistent release, right? That's just not good, where I'm using my whole arm. If I just get a little bit of pop, I can get this thing to fly forward with very minimal effort and get very, very high consistency and good spin as well. So yeah, it's a pretty simple video. I think a lot of people have trouble with forehands because they just don't understand these concepts. They're trying to hold the disc really loose, or they have problems with their grip, and they're not really letting their arm create lag, and they're just flailing the disc all over the place. I see it very frequently, and if you can get these two things down, there's a lot of other like small little things, but these are, I think, the two big things that people struggle with the most. So if you can get these down and you haven't figured it out already, you'll definitely be throwing forehands a lot easier. And even if you're not throwing like full power forehands, you'll definitely be able to throw these little just, 150 out from the basket, just pop it up. It levels up your game if you don't have that already tremendously. Anyway, thanks for watching. Check out my website in the description there. I do lessons. I also just started selling some merch. I don't have it with me yet. I just ordered one, but they're some cool little silly hats that you can buy for a pretty affordable price. If you want to help support me and have some cool merch, check that out as well. And also use my code at otbdisc.com, which is sunshine, for free shipping. Thanks for watching. I'll see you next time. Peace.